everybody? Welcome to the horrorheadspodcast. I am Rich Mallory here with my co-host Jerry Lorenko.
What's up?
Not much, man. Chillin'. Had one hell of a day. Super stoked to get to drinking. You can follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast or send us your love and hate to horrorheadspodcast at gmail.com. You can find this podcast wherever podcasts stream, and recently we started putting up video on YouTube, so you could, if you love what you hear and want to see how handsome we are in person, you could watch us on YouTube. So check out, just search Horror Heads, subscribe, like, do all the things, help keep us going. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite.
I don't know if I'm helping or hurting.
Maybe I should turn your video off and put a graphic there instead. So today,
smart, or like
do you have like an avatar or like
something like that, like like something, a meme avatar? I don't care.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about one of my favorite horror franchises. We're going to talk about the Saw film franchise, and why we're going to chat about Saw is we were going to wait till Saw 11 came out to do our Saw episode, but recently it was announced that they're not going to make Saw 11, and who knows if they ever will again. I'm sure at some point they will reboot the franchise because they reboot everything, but not this year. So we figured, fuck it, let's talk about Saw and do some drinking. But before we get to that, I did watch The Monkey the other night.
Oh, you did? You watched The Monkey, huh?
I did watch The Monkey, and what a bizarre fucking movie. That was one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. So, and I'm not saying I liked it because I did not like it, and there's a few reasons why, but like, what'd you think of it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe this is my fault. Yeah. Maybe this is my fault. I seen a lot of like buzz about it, a lot of hype, and like a lot of people, as it was like coming to streaming, people like, this is probably the film of the year. This is the best movie I watched. I'm like, man, society must be right. So I went in like feeling pretty positive, and I turned it on, and I'm gonna say within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm gonna hate this fucking movie. And after 10 minutes, I hate this fucking movie. I thought it was stupid. I didn't like it at all. It was nonsensical. Wasn't funny. There was the occasional good kill, which really annoyed me because the kills were just actually, some of them were awesome and really original. Kind of like Thanksgiving. It kind of reminded me of just the kill factor and the way they kind of went with like gore and super over the top. But outside of that, it was stupid, man. I don't know.
Yeah, and I look, I really wanted to like this movie, and especially as I started watching it, it definitely wasn't what I expected because I was expecting like a horror comedy. It's more of like a black comedy, I guess, if you want to call it that,
Mm,
because it's not really horror, even though there's gore. But I was like, you know what? Like maybe 10 years ago, I used to really like movies like this, like super indie, kind of art house, like a little quirky. But yeah, it just didn't land for me. And like the kills, like you said, were good. Like the one where the woman jumps in the swimming pool and like
oh
she
yeah. Woo!
explodes and
That
like
was
her leg goes flying. My
10.
only issue with the kills though, they were like so fast that it was hard to even
Yeah.
really see what happened. And I think they were just probably a budget reason, but like also they probably didn't want to be overly graphic and gory because you had people getting really violently killed. And again, it happened so quick and a lot of them came out of nowhere. So you're just like, whoa, I didn't even expect a kill to happen
Yeah.
there. So like that part of it was cool, but like the few things I really didn't like about this movie, one is the first like 30 minutes of it, it focuses on the two main characters as their kids. And
Hmm.
like, and then there's like a huge time jump at the half hour mark. And I think for like when you do that, I hate that kind of shit. Like if a movie would have stayed with the kids, maybe it would have been better. Or if it would have done the kids like within 10 minutes and then shifted to adults, it would have been better. But it's like, even though they're the same characters, like when you have different actors, it's like I have a different attachment to them. So now it's like, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
the first 30 minutes like is meaningless because now they're not even these characters. But once it shifts to them as an adult, the two main male characters, the brothers, were so boring. They were just so
I didn't
like
like them at all.
uninteresting, like the way they spoke, like
Yeah.
it just everything about him was just lame. And the movie, like at that when it does that time jump, it kind of grinds to a halt and just like nothing happens that's interesting, and it's like you just don't even give a shit. And like you said, it was trying to be funny, but it really wasn't funny. It was quirky, but it wasn't funny. And what was the other thing I didn't like? It was like you said, it was dumb. Like it didn't like make a ton of sense.
It
It
didn't
was
make a lot like
pointless.
just the whole premise of it didn't really kind of come together. Like I thought it was kind of weak, like these brothers that kind of had like very competitiveness and kind of had some sort of brotherly animosity towards each other, as kids. You think they would have grown into a closer family, but then the one blaming the other guy for like the mother's death and using that as a reason to try to kill him for the rest of his life. I don't know. Like I don't know if
Yeah,
I don't know
I wasn't buying it.
if I'm buying it like I don't know if I'm buying into that. Like there wasn't enough development maybe as the kids to understand maybe how deep rooted these feelings were. And I mean, if that's how you're selling it, that's fine. You got to develop the characters more. But if you're kind of going more in that like comedic kind of like over the top way, then it needs to be more funny and it needs to be more over the top as far as like the way these characters acted and the things they did. But you said it, they were like drips, man. They were
Yeah.
so boring. And it's like, I like, you know what? I hope you both die because you suck. And I'm tired of you. But I did decide a few days ago that I am going to try to watch it again, maybe a few months from now, and see if I still have the same feeling.
Like maybe it was the
Just
hype that
because I
got
just got
you.
such, yeah, it happened to me, a few times in life where things finally stick. Just the last podcast, we were talking about Creep, it finally stuck. So maybe I need to watch it again. So, but my initial reaction is this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I give it a thumbs down too, and I am going to rewatch it at some point because I
Yeah.
do think there was a time in my life where I might have liked a movie like this, just because it was different and like I like those odd kind of super indie movies, and but like I'm
Hmm.
just not in the mood for it now, and but also like you do need to have cool characters, and I think that's the big flaw. I think if the characters were interesting, this would have played a lot different because you would have given a shit. And like I just couldn't wait to see for the movie to
Yeah.
end. Like once they got introduced to the one main character, like within 5 minutes, I was like, I need this to end because I can't sit with this guy anymore. Like you said, a drip is the right word. So okay, so thumbs down on the monkey. Look, if you want to check it out, it is something different. A very interesting film, like very different than Longlegs, which was the director's other film. Interesting choices, but yeah, I definitely did not like that. But I did say earlier I've had a bit of a long day today, and I've been excited to start drinking all day. However, that might change in a second, and I'll tell you why. So, because Saw 10 does take place in Mexico, I am trying something very
Oh
different, and I'm
no.
trying some
What is going on
Mexican
here?
whiskey, which I've never had before. It is 100% corn whiskey. The name of the brand is Abasolo.
Uh,
100% ancestral corn. And not to say anything negative about Mexico, I don't picture the whiskey being palatable. So we will see how disgusting this is and if I regret my choice for wanting to drink so bad. What do you have over there?
yeah, so I'm not sure what you're drinking there, but what I saw when you held it up, it's actually
Oh,
called
oh God.
asbestos. So be really careful. That's what it
Oh,
looked like when he flashed it up on the screen. It looked like it was said asbestos.
asbestos. Yeah.
But
And I just
but
took a whiff of it, and even the color is weird. I took a whiff of it. Oh, it is disgusting.
ooh.
I can't even place with this. Oh my
It's a
God.
weird color. What is that color? It looks like
It's
lemonade.
yeah, it looks like or like Mountain Dew. It
This is
looked
the
like
color
kind
of
of.
mine.
Yeah, yours is brown. Mine is like a
Yeah.
piss yellow.
Oh my. Well, I'm
Oh,
drinking Makers 101. If anyone wants to tune in, we did jump on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. I did drink the 101 after we did a little bit of a tasting. I didn't have rave reviews during that podcast, so I thought I'd give it another chance on this podcast because I haven't drank it since and see what I think. Otherwise, we could both be in for a long night where we don't love what we are drinking. But this is our podcast, Rich, and we could always just press the stop button and then just go
Get
get
something
exactly
else.
what we want and come back. So let's cheers and see how these go.
All right, cheers. Yeah,
Cheers.
I may get a backup after this. Hold on. Oh my God. Oh,
Actually, I
this
do
is
like
the
this better.
grossest thing I've ever drank. Okay, so oh my God. All right, so the aftertaste is a little. I get a little bit
Oh,
of
actually
whiskey. I get
crying.
that. This is. Hold on. Let me.
I'm crying a little bit. This is so funny.
Oh God.
He
Oh,
looks so
dude,
bad.
this is the grossest thing I've ever had. I can't
Oh.
even place what it tastes like.
Is it
It doesn't
grainy? Is it
it's
is
not
it
grainy. It doesn't taste like really whiskey. It tastes
does it
like
taste like tequila?
so I'll tell you what it's reminding me of. And many years ago, a friend of mine gave me a bottle of this Chinese vodka, which
Mm.
is like basically like drinking paint thinner. And
I
I've
remember
have it.
that.
I have it, and I've taken like two sips of it, and that's it. And I don't want to throw it out because I always try to get other people to drink it because it's so disgusting. And I know this is Mexican whiskey, but it tastes just like that Chinese vodka. Just it
Oh
tastes like paint
man.
thinner. It's disgusting.
Well, you could use it for paint thinner later on if you'd like, if you
There
want.
is a flavor here, but other than I don't know what it is. Oh my God, this is all right. I what I am gonna do, I'm gonna finish this one glass because I
Mm.
commit, I do not quit. I can't say what's gonna happen after I do this. And unfortunately, we are talking about three movies, so there is gonna be a bit of drinking tonight. So I set myself
Mm.
up for failure. But you know what? I deserve it. Sometimes you got to go through a little pain, and if I come out on the other side, maybe I will forget all my troubles and find a path forward in my life.
I feel that, man. I'm actually liking this tonight. I'm getting a lot of flavor from it, which I wasn't getting the last time I had it. Again, I don't know if it was the mood, maybe what I ate earlier, something like that. I don't know what's changing the palate, but tonight I'm really enjoying it. It's sweeter. It has a lot more flavor. I'm getting some caramel, which I wasn't getting the first time. I'm feeling it right now. So I'm thinking, hmm, the 101, man. I'm liking it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I remember you talking about how it was not one of your
Well,
favorites to drink, which was
I did
surprising.
something different. There is a big cube in here,
Mm.
which I didn't have the other day when we were drinking it. So I don't know if that's making a difference, but I'm really enjoying it right now. So you're really not enjoying that, huh? Man,
Yeah,
that's
this is going to
brutal.
be a good one for video because every time I take a sip, and I'm forcing myself to drink it because I want to get drunk, but you see the pain in my eyes. I do not look like a happy man right now.
So while we're sitting here
Oh,
drinking these, being miserable, I have a strange story that's been happening in my life recently, and I think this is a great forum to tell this story.
fuck it, it's our
So
show. Do what
so
you want.
so since we're yeah, so since we're just having some sips, so how long ago did we do the Leprechaun episode?
Maybe like a month ago we did
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, about a month ago, right? And when we were preparing for the films, I obviously went on to my streaming sites and I looked for all the films that we were watching. I like to save them to my queue so it's easy to find them and watch them when I want. So I found Leprechaun on Prime and I saved it to my queue. And since then I've added some more films and stuff like that. So about 2 weeks ago. I started going through my queue. I'm like, let me clean this up. And I decided to, obviously delete some movies. And I'm like, I'm not gonna watch Leprechaun. I'm like, so I deleted it, right? Forgot all about it. Next day, I flip on Prime. It's fucking back in my queue. And I'm like, "Oh, all right. I'm like, usually I'm doing something a little funny at night where maybe maybe I didn't do everything exactly right. I'm like, let me do it right now. I'm like, let me just get rid of this film. So I click on it again, delete another film. Let's clean this up. Nice. Wait a little while, go back and look. It's fucking back. And I'm like, what's happening here? Why is this film kind of haunting me? So I have to say, over the last few weeks, I've added and removed films from my queue at least 50 times. And every single film was added and every single film was reviewed or was removed except for Leprechaun. I can't get it out of my fucking queue.
You're fucking
It's just
haunted.
sitting there. And it's like no matter what I do, I can't. I tried everything. I tried resetting
Have you
like
tried
my
watching it
my
again? Maybe you need
fire
to watch it
stick.
again.
I tried I tried moving it down. I tried all sorts of things and it won't delete. It just keeps appearing. And sometimes it appears right away. And then sometimes it doesn't appear. Like I think I got it, and then the next day when I look, it's back, dude. This freaking film is haunting me.
Dude, we never should. That episode's haunting me for a lot of reasons, especially my liver is being haunted by that movie.
I don't know what's going on. I can't get it out of my life, so
I'm saying you
I
got to
don't
watch it
know.
again. You got to watch it
Oh
one
my
more time,
God.
and then yeah, I don't know if I can do that. Oh man.
Oh,
All right. Well,
that sounds
that's a
miserable.
scary, frightening tale. We are going to shift to another frightening tale right now. So we're going to talk about the Saw franchise, and specifically, we're going to talk about the original Saw from 2004. We're going to talk about Saw 3D, and we're going to talk about Saw X, which was the last one. And I picked
Mm,
Saw 3D. One reason is because I haven't watched it in a long time,
okay.
and two, I thought it kind of connected really well to Saw 1 because one of the characters does come back from Saw 1. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things I really like the Saw franchise. I will admit most of the films I wouldn't say are good films, but they're guilty pleasures and I put them on all the time. And one of the things I liked is how they do create like a universe and all of the films and the characters are interconnected. And they do a great job of like in future films, like revealing like, oh, by the way, that thing that happened in the second movie, this is the person that did it. And I like how they kind of intertwine them. And Saw 7, again, intertwines really nicely with Saw 1. And Saw 7 or Saw 3D was supposed to be the final one that they were going to do. They were done with it, and then of course, money talks, and then they made another movie, Jigsaw, which was pretty awful, and then they tried to do a reboot with Chris Rock called Spiral, that was also pretty awful, and then they brought it back kind of right to the original kind of with Saw 10, which I thought was really good. So we're going to talk about Saw 1 first, and I'll set it up really quick. What the plot of this movie is. Two men, Adam and Dr. Lawrence, wake up in a disgusting, filthy bathroom, both chained. Their ankles are chained to some kind of pipe or something. And they learn that they've been captured by a serial killer known as Jigsaw, who sets traps for his victims, that they must do something horrific in order to survive. And the horrific thing these two men must do is one needs to kill the other one. There is another way out, though, as they are chained to this thing. They are both given a hacksaw, and while the hacksaw does not cut through the chains, it will cut through flesh. So they do have the option
Mm.
of cutting off their own leg if they wish to survive. And that is the plot of Saw 1. And before I get your thoughts, one thing I will say about this movie, I remember seeing it in theaters when it came out. And I remember thinking, I have never seen a movie like this before. Not just in terms of like plot, but how it was kind of shot and done. And like it has a very specific style that they carry on
Mm.
to all of the future films. And sometimes it does get annoying. Like there's a lot of this when people are in these traps, like these fast kind of cuts, and this camera spins a lot. And there's like this crazy industrial music. And they keep that throughout basically most of the films. But like when this movie came out, again, you had not seen a movie done like this, a plot like this, and just some crazy ways to kill various people. Like we could talk about some of the traps that Jigsaw kind of sets up for people, but this one kind of introduces what I believe they call is the reverse bear trap, which is a
Oh yeah.
device that goes over this woman's head. And if she doesn't find the key, it will open like a bear trap, pulling their head apart, which was super creative. So I'm going to stop for a second because I've been talking. I know this wasn't really a favorite franchise of yours. I don't think you've seen a lot of the movies, but now that you've kind of dug into them, like, how do you feel? Like, do you like seeing them kind of for the first time? Like, do you appreciate them? Did you enjoy them? Like, what'd you think?
Yeah, so this for sure feels like a first time watching Saw and then kind of watching it with a critical eye, which is definitely something I've never done before. And I'm gonna be honest, I think I might have. I might have fucked up a bit in 2004 when this film came
Didn't we
out,
all?
yeah. Um, I didn't catch it in the theaters, and I didn't you know want to wait for it to come to video, because back then that's really what you're waiting for. You're waiting for it to come on video. Streaming was in a very fledgling state, so it was video that you were waiting for. So I picked up a bootleg of this um movie, and it didn't look very good, but I still want to see it because literally everyone was talking about it. And I think it just kind of struck me the wrong way, because I guess I just didn't like, the way it looked because of the clarity of the video that I had. So now let's fast forward. I haven't watched it, I really haven't. I haven't put on this film. I seen a few Saws. I watched a few last year for the October challenge, not this one. So it's like, what's the deal with this one? This is like James Wan's first big film.
First movie, first one he
Introduction.
directed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first. Yeah, wow. Okay. Introduction to Jigsaw and all these characters. Didn't really know what to expect. I'm gonna say I liked it a lot more. Really appreciate a lot of things. Like you said, the way it's stylized, it's crazy. Like that blue kind of filtered hue over the whole thing really makes it feel like cold and desolate, and you kind of get that feeling that these two characters that this whole film kind of revolves around. It just kind of makes you feel like almost what they're feeling. Yeah, those quick cuts were like really, really different. I don't think anyone was doing anything like that. And I think as you get into the Saw films, people do it with probably less and less success
Yeah.
as it was done on this film. But it really worked in this film. And um I liked it. I like the premise. I like the storyline. The one thing, if I'm getting critical, is for the most part, there's really two stories going on in this film. The one story is taking place in the bathroom with these two characters that are have to escape Jigsaw, and the second story is really like the police chase, of them trying to figure out like what's going on, who is this, all that stuff going in the background. What I found a little weird was with everything that was going on, is I didn't love these two actors. I think Adam and Dr. Lawrence, I think they're a little weak. When you're stuck in such a small set, and it's really going to be driven by dialogue and the reactions and their interactions. A lot of times it just didn't, it felt a little sterile to me. It just didn't feel like there was good interaction between these two characters, and that really bothered me because then when we switched to like the police characters who weren't definitely outside of uh what is his name,
Danny Glover.
Danny Glover, they were really almost like unknowns. So I thought they were better actors. And I was just like, how come this isn't like better? So that's the only thing that annoyed me about it. I mean, it's brutal. The traps are insane. Like that first introduction we have to Jigsaw and his first victim that we really see was kind of like a Suspiria type of
Hmm.
trap where that person was like in that razor wire. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God. Like this is not only it's brutal, it's disgusting. And like it makes you go like this. Like we could do this now because we're filming. It makes like ugh, like like when you're watching it, like you get like a physical reaction, like just like you a little squeamish, I guess. And I haven't watched a film that made me feel that way.
Yeah, and the trap you're referring to, like, it did feel very Suspiria, and Argento was a big influence on James Wan. Apparently, the puppet, the Saw puppet that this franchise is known
Yeah.
for, was James Wan made that, and
Oh
he kind
wow.
of based it off of the puppet from Deep Red. That was kind of like his influence, which is
Oh.
super cool. And they had some other things like the killer has like black gloves throughout, which is very giallo, very Argento. So yeah, and I agree about the acting. I would say the big flaw in this movie is especially the one actor who plays Adam, who's Leigh Whannell, who was one of the him and James Wan wrote this movie. So I don't know if he put himself in the movie because he wanted to be an actor or it was a budget thing because they had a very low budget. And the story behind this movie is Leigh Whannell and James Wan were roommates, and they got out of film school and they wanted to make a movie. So they wrote the script for Saw, and they were shopping it around. No one wanted it. Their manager ended up sending it to an agent who said, "Why don't you guys make like a short film, and we'll pitch that and we'll see what happens." So they ended up making a short film, which is basically Leigh Whannell is, I hope I pronounced his name right, is in the reverse bear trap, and they did that whole scene. They shot that whole scene with him
Mm.
as the actor, and they shopped it around, and no one again wanted it. But at some point, Lionsgate saw it and they said, you know what? We'll give you a little bit of money to make this into a feature. It'll be direct to video, but here you go. Go make the movie. And they made the movie and ended up like screening so well, they decided to give it a theatrical, and then it became this big movie. But apparently, like, yeah, this was really low budget. Most of their budget went to Danny Glover, and apparently, like when they were done, like they didn't even have enough footage, so they had to like repurpose footage, and they made certain things look like it was like coming from cameras, and then they like went
Oh
and like
wow.
reshot
Oh yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
where they like pretended to be the bodies. So they did all this stuff to kind of fill in the runtime because they just didn't have budget. I think none of the movie takes place outside because they couldn't afford to get permits or to like get a crew outside. So all of it is like taking place in like these other areas. So I think the acting could have been like at least the one character was probably budget. The other guy was a known actor, and I agree. Like he's known for like The Princess Bride. I didn't think he was very good in the role
Oh,
either.
oh, okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
him. Oh,
Yeah. And I don't think he had done anything in
much
a very
better.
long time. But he was, yeah. So I agree. The acting, especially when most of the movie is two guys in a room,
Two
it could be a
guys. It
little
needs to
better.
be awesome.
But also, again, this movie was meant to be a low budget direct to video movie. It wasn't meant to be this big, huge thing that spawned a franchise. So, so there's that. So I give them a little bit of a pass for that, but I do agree, like it does
Well,
suffer from that.
yeah, and I don't want to like I'm not downgrading them too much just because of that. Because in its essence, this is a slasher film, so it's okay. It's okay. The acting doesn't need to be perfect, but I just found it strange that it wasn't better, being that the most of it revolves around just these two guys doing dialogue, and they got the slasher parts absolutely right, you know. And normally when you're dealing with a budget, you kind of see like it's like a layer where everything is kind of like mediocre, and it's like, yeah, we did our best. But it's funny how like these traps and a lot of like, the cinematography and all that stuff look awesome, and then it's like just these two guys talking, couldn't really keep you engaged. And I mean, obviously, like, so many movies like this with just two characters, you know, um, I could think of a few like The Apology or I Trapped the Devil and things like that, where they're really, really, really slow burns. And it just has two characters talking, but it keeps you engaged. And especially in a film like this, where there is going to be huge action sequences, and we know there's going to be like those slasher parts where things that get like really out of hand. I don't know. There's just something about them that
Yeah.
really annoyed me. But again, not enough to turn me off to the film, because I did feel, outside of what they were portraying, I did feel a lot of dread, because just knowing like what the situation they were in. And Tobin Bell, I think, who's barely in this, is so is such a character and such a probably the perfect actor to play that character, because it's like menacing and scary and creepy, and like you just feel like there's like some deep rooted like just insanity in this character. So I I like his character, and I guess we could get into a little bit into him and a little Jigsaw himself. They don't set you up with like his motivation of like why he's doing this, but we do kind of know, which is strange. So I just wonder if like is this guy a hero or is he a villain or like how do you view him? Like his motivation is for people to appreciate their life, but I don't believe that at all. I'm sorry. I'm not getting that from this film. I'm getting someone who's like a twisted individual who likes to torture people. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, I get that too, and the reason, and like they explain more about his origin story in like the future films. I think they do a really good job of setting that up. But like you said, we kind of do kind of get it here. I think while they kind of position him as this person who quote unquote saves people, the fact that only a handful of people in 10 movies survived the traps makes me think that there's no way anyone is like he's trying to do a service because what there's never enough time, and again this is just a movie making technique, right? But like every one of these kills the person is like this close to surviving and then the clock ticks. Like they don't find the key until there's 1 second left and they have no time, and that happens on every one of these movies, on every one of these
Yeah.
films. And if Jigsaw is supposed to be someone who they set him up as somebody who is like a chess player who like can really get into people's psyches and know what they're going to do 6 moves ahead. He knows that like these people aren't going to survive these traps. Like he knows they're all going to die. They're never going to make it. So to me, I think the fact that, a handful, maybe 3 people in 10 movies survives these traps, like it's like just luck. And the people that do survive, like aren't really the best people. So like the one that survives in Saw 1, Amanda, like she ends up
Amanda.
being like a somewhat positive character, even though she's problematic. But one of the other people that survives in like future movies, I forget his name, but he ends up becoming one of the villains, like is not a good guy. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't think Jigsaw is doing any service. I think he is someone that some fucked up shit happens to at some point in his life and is kind of very twisted, and maybe he thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's not doing the right thing because he knows that no one's going to survive these things. He has to. If he's that smart,
Yeah.
like he that he could predict everything, like he could predict all of this shit. So he's trying to punish people, I think.
Yeah, all right. Thank God, because I'm like, am I just reading this character completely wrong? Because this guy, he doesn't seem like he wants really any of these people to live, and I kind of think, especially for this particular film, the way he chose these people to participate in his game, I think it's a little thin. I don't think these are like bad people or
They're
people
assholes,
that
but they're not
like
like
they're
evil.
assholes, but they
Yeah.
don't like they don't deserve to like
No, they're
have to
not evil.
cut their foot off or anything like that or have their families kidnapped and things like that. Like it just it's they're not that bad. I mean, he didn't choose like evil people. He chose like shitty people,
Yeah.
which to me is different. And it's like, you know what? I'm kind of a shitty person, Rich, and
Would you
maybe he
survive the
would
trap?
choose me.
Yeah, I've definitely
Um,
done some bad things. And you know what, too? Even the situation that he sets up for them, it's like there's 2 people in the room. Basically, it's they could either cut off their own legs, which it's doubtful that they would get away and survive. And you and even
yeah.
and the Dr. Gordon does come back in later movies, but like after watching this one, I did not think he was going to survive. His other way out is to kill the other guy. So it's like there's like both are not good.
Yeah,
So like
it's like
you know
horrible. It's
so
like,
like the basically Adam is just there for bait, like he's there to get shot
poor guy.
basically. So yeah, I don't think Jigsaw is a good guy, and maybe I thought different once upon a time, but like really thinking about it, yeah, he's an asshole too. Just and like you said, like he's picking people that sometimes he does pick some evil people in some of these movies, but like in this movie in particular, yeah, these were just jerks. And Amanda, who he puts in the bear trap, they do explain later, like in I think movie 6, like why he chose her. But like if you never saw part 6, you just saw this one, she was just a drug addict. Like
Just a drug
why
addict,
would you do this to a drug addict? Like so it
I
wasn't like she
mean,
did all these
maybe
crimes.
take her to rehab might have been another option
Yeah,
to
yeah.
put a reverse bear trap on someone's face. Like you're never gonna forget that. You're gonna wake up at night and you're gonna be thinking of that. Yeah, that was God, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
But I get it.
and
Like it is kind of thin, but I will say like taking away if you there are plot holes, of course, galore in this
yeah,
movie. But I think that it is really brilliantly written. And what I mean by that is you really don't know what's going to happen. Like you don't know
Mm.
what's going to happen next. The twist at the end comes like it makes sense, and they do a great job of like
It's good.
when they and all these movies have a twist and they piece it all together at the end, and it usually in most of them makes sense. You're like, oh shit, I never would have thought of that. And the twist in this one's brilliant. Like
Yeah.
I was gagged. And again, I like that. Again, it's like you're watching this movie. It's a horror movie. It's a slasher movie. It's also a detective movie where you're trying to figure
Yep.
out, kind of like a giallo, where you're trying to figure out what is actually going on,
What's
like what is
happening?
happening. The person who I think is the killer is not the killer. Like, so I think it's very brilliantly written. I think a lot of these, again, they're all flawed in some way, but at their heart, I think they're really smart, kind of clever films for the most part. Again, there are some duds for sure.
I'm going to tell you what my favorite part of this film is, and it's just like probably ambiguous and no one really cares about it. But I really like when the police discover his lair, and when they walk into the lair, there was like a diorama of a trap. And I thought that was just so cool and clever and fun. I could just picture, John Kramer sitting around and he has like a shoebox and he's trying to like figure out
You're like
like all
elementary
the
school
parts.
project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got like his Elmer's glue and some like, some sticks and things like that, trying to figure out how to like concoct his next trap. And I'm like, that is so. I enjoyed it because it brings you into that character and again I think it kind of shows you how the character enjoys what he's doing, that he's taking the time to like not only like design these traps, but he's kind of like making it like in real life with like a miniature scale and with all the elements, really thinking so we can look at it and really think about, man, this is gonna fuck someone up, and really enjoying his work. And I don't know why it was probably insignificant, but I thought that was like probably one of the most clever and probably funniest scenes. I mean, I laughed a little bit because I think I rewound it. I'm like, was that a diorama? Like, what is that? So I, excuse me, I enjoyed that.
So there's one thing that happens in this movie that I don't think I ever really noticed or paid attention to before, and it kind of, now that it happened, it's like all I could think about, and I might ruin this movie for everybody.
Mm,
But there is a scene where Adam puts his hand in a toilet full of shit
hmm
and doesn't wash his hands because I don't think there's running water. So, well, I think that there is actually running water, but he never washes his hands. So all I'm thinking about the whole movie is this guy has shitty hands the entire movie. Because this
Oh,
happens like early on because they're trying to get a key
like
or something out of
Perel
the toilet.
something. He's
Yeah.
got
So
some
he's got
hand
shit, and maybe he does
sanitizer.
wash it like when the camera cuts away to something else and we don't see that. But all I could think about was this guy has shitty hands. And I did read that they did that as like a tribute to
It's
Train
stink
Spot.
palm.
Yeah, it was a tribute to Train Spotting actually when Ewan
Oh,
McGregor jumps into the toilet, and that's why they kind of
uh,
put that in there. That's what they say, but all I could think about was every time I saw Adam, I was like,
yeah.
fucking shit hands. I hope he doesn't like touch anything in that fucking filthy ass bathroom.
The worst, the worst toilet in Scotland. Oh, that's funny.
Uh,
What? Some things I did notice that I probably never noticed watching this film before. I thought that that one scene where I guess it's Jigsaw, but someone's crawling out of the back seat of a car with the pig mask
oh
to
yeah, yeah.
kidnap somebody. I thought that was so creepy, and I don't think people talk about the pig mask
The
enough
pig
because
mask
it
with that
has a
like
few appearances.
cloak with the black
And
cloak is super fucking
yeah,
scary. Yeah.
it's scary, and he comes out of the backseat of a car. He's hiding in a closet. And when they open the door, he's just there. And I love when films do these types of things because again, it really taps into like those core kind of fears you had as a kid where, is someone hiding behind me? Is someone in this back seat? Is someone in my closet? And when there is, it really amplifies it and makes it scary. And then when you add that mask, which is like this insane looking pig mask, I thought that was like really creepy and scary. And there's so many things that these films are known for, the traps, the puppet, things like that. But it's like I think this pig mask was really memorable, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of iconic things with this movie, and like I love the story of you take this super indie movie that nobody wanted to take a chance on, and what happens? It spawns fucking 9 sequels, becomes like one of the biggest horror movies of all time, or horror movie franchises, and just really kind of helps like really push the careers of certain people. Again, James Wan is like the director now, and here he was a nobody. He didn't even take pay for this movie. He took a percentage of the back end. He took a risk, like but he just wanted to make a movie
Mhm.
basically. And I love that. Like he just wanted he had faith in himself. I think that's super cool. Um, you know, so I like have like a ton of respect like the more I kind of like look into the movie. And apparently originally it was going to be rated NC-17, so they had to cut down some of the violence. So
Mm.
the original cut was even more just showed more gore and stuff like that because they don't show you a ton of gore, and when they do, it is the camera does move very fast, so you don't you get it, your brain fills it in. But a lot of times they don't show you it until like some of the later movies get a lot more graphic, but this one isn't overly graphic, but you forget that it's not overly graphic because it's so effective with the sounds and the music and like
Yeah.
how they shot it. Like you think you're seeing more than you actually are, which I think is really a really clever technique that, again, like the very brilliant filmmaking, I'll say.
Yeah, definitely not as many traps this game in this film as opposed to like the other films, but still the ones they did have were pretty awesome. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, as to this, and again, a lot of like that trick camera work and stuff like that really sets the tone for this film, and probably makes it more interesting than what it is, because not a lot happens. It's literally two guys in a room in a dire situation and some police officers looking for them. And I mean that's it. That's the whole story. So I think the fact that you're kind of like just really engaged in it and like what the hell is going to happen, and then as each thing happens there's so many like what the fuck moments, and you're like, oh, what the fuck, and then you're like, oh, what the, like it, you probably say that 3 to 4 times at least in this film, where you're like, oh, I didn't see that, like you really couldn't figure it out. So really effective, and much better than I remember. To me, I thought this was like, they say that this spawned the torture porn kind of
Mm.
genre, but to me, this particular film, I don't think fits that category really, because there is something else to it. There's a lot of twists and turns, and that's not something you really see in like torture, porn films.
Yeah, I think the sequels were a lot more torture porn, and it's interesting. Like
Definitely.
this is
Yeah.
like if you take a look at like what's a quote unquote good film, this one is probably one of the best ones in the franchise. Like with regards to it being like a solid film, it's one of the ones I watched the least, and
Yeah.
I think that's because, like you said, not a lot
Mm.
happens, and like I already know the twist, I know the ending, so it's like that I kind of lost me. I watch
Yeah.
a lot of the other ones more because there's more like action, there's more traps, there's more like fucked up shit that happens. Like I'll watch the second one and the third one all the time, and I wouldn't say they're better movies, but I
Mm.
enjoy them more. And like I have probably haven't watched this one in years because I've been busy watching. I'll watch the other ones, or I'll just throw in a random one sometimes. Like I'll be like, oh, let me just put on Saw 4, and like I know what I'm gonna get, and I know when I can pay attention, when I don't have to pay attention. So yeah, it's just interesting, but. So wrapping this one up because we do have two more to talk about, and
Yeah.
want to drink more of this Mexican whiskey, so we got to rate this movie. So what we do on this show, if you're just tuning in for the first time, is we rate every movie on a scale of 0 to 5 bloody knives, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst, and we play a little drinking game. And what that drinking game is the number of bloody knives I give a movie, is the number of sips Jerry needs to drink, and vice versa. And hopefully you're pouring something that's more delicious than I have at home, and you can drink along. So I'm actually going to give my rating on this one first, because I need to take a pause before I drink my. Well, we're going to drink together, but I'm going to give this movie, again, it does have some flaws. It could it be better? Yeah, but like for what it is, I give it a 4. I think it's a four bloody knife movie. It's not like perfect, it's not amazing, but it's really good, and yeah, I like it, and I like where it started, and I like where it ended. So I'm giving it a 4. How about you?
Wow. Um, okay, if you had asked me in 2004 and leading up to about 2 weeks ago what I would have gave this film, I probably would have gave it 1.5. But
Woo!
now, yeah, now watching it with a different lens and maybe just being different life, different position in life, and watching it on a better TV and a nice HD version, I really got to absorb this film and understand it. Um, it's a good film, and I could see why it kind of created subgenres. I could see why there were so many sequels to it, because it's that type of film. So when I see a film like that, I give it a 3. So
I think that's
3
fair.
bloody knives for
I
me
think I
because
think a
it's
three
good,
is good.
solid.
I respect that. So let's cheers to that. I'll drink 3 sips. You drink 4. Oh god, it's gonna suck.
Man.
Mm. Oh, that's the longest sip I've taken so far. This is so fucking gross.
Wow. Oh my God. So this is a guilty pleasure of yours, right? And you watch them all the time. I'm assuming it's like the traps and stuff like that that really kind of brings you into these.
I don't like where you're going with this because I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say. But yes, this is a guilty pleasure.
What? What?
I've seen most of
Oh,
these
okay,
more
cool.
than 10 times. I forget which movie is which, unfortunately,
Oh,
because
okay,
they all do
cool.
kind of blend together. So what do you got?
Well, that's cool. So I have a couple of soul trivia questions here for you, which
Ah!
for someone
Oh, fuck
who
you.
watches them so often,
I knew it.
this should be a breeze for you.
Okay,
And I don't have a lot of questions because I
good.
am not as versed in these films as you are, but I want to take advantage of the situation now because you're drinking something that you really aren't enjoying, and I wanted to make this happen before you switched it out. So this is what we're going to do. I have a couple questions, but for each one of these questions, you could place a wager on it anytime you could do a wager. So on
Anytime.
each one of these questions, because I don't have five. So you could do 1 to 3 sips on on these questions, and I'm going to be really, really nice. I am going to read the question first, and I'll let you
Oh,
decide if you want to do a wager.
okay. I like this. So 5 questions, you said?
Yeah, about five. Yeah, I don't think I have more than five here. Let's
All
see.
right,
One,
yeah, let's
two,
do it.
three, four.
Let's do it. I'm
I have
feeling
like
good.
5 or 6.
Yeah, it depends
Yeah,
on how this
okay.
goes. If you're losing, it's less. If you're losing, it's 3 questions. If you're winning, it's 7.
Yeah. All right.
Let's do it.
I'm going to start this off like this feels like a softball to me. So it's probably going to be a softball to you. So remember, I'm going to ask you the question. You could tell me how many sips you want to do and then answer the question. Okay?
Wow. All right, let's do
Is
it.
that cool?
Yeah, I feel
All right,
great.
ready? Let's do it. All right. What is the unofficial name of Jigsaw's puppet?
I'm gonna wager 1 sip because I do not know the answer to that.
What, dude? You talked about the puppet. You knew everything about it.
You know what? I don't know
You
the
only
name of the
wagered
puppet.
one.
I don't know the name.
All
Yeah,
right,
I have no
so
guess.
just 1 sip.
Cheers, just 1 sip.
You have
I'll
no
take a big. I'll
guess.
take a big one.
Oh, all right,
I don't know.
all right.
Mm,
It's
mm,
Billy.
mm, mm, mm. I like was just about to say Billy. Ah, fuck, you beat me to it.
Well, you
I
took a
did.
sip. You took a
Yeah,
sip.
I did. It popped into my head right when I was sipping, and I didn't stop myself. But yeah, I did know that. Fuck. All right, I fucked up.
Okay.
I'm gonna take
All
my
right.
time
Well,
thinking of
that
the
was a
answer to
warm-up
this one.
question.
Yeah. Oh
Take your time. All right. Now,
shit.
all right. Which Saw film or films featured the actor extraordinaire Donnie Wahlberg? And you
I'm
have to
gonna
get them all
wager.
right.
I'm gonna wager 3 sips. I'm gonna say.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna say 2, 3, and 4.
You got it.
Is that right? All
Okay. Three sips for me.
right.
Three sips
Yes.
for me.
Yeah.
That's how you're
Three
playing it.
sips.
So when you get it, you just gotta go to the top. You gotta go right to the top on
It's
three.
either one or
Okay.
three. We're not fucking around here.
You could throw a two in there.
Nah. Oh, nope. I wasn't, and that one I wasn't
Okay.
totally sure. I wasn't sure if he was in the fifth one too, because I don't,
Okay.
but I did know that. Cool.
It's two, three, and four. You're absolutely right. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What was John Kramer's job when he's not being Jigsaw?
I'm gonna wager 2 on this.
Oh, see, two. All right, here
Yeah,
we
I'm gonna
go.
do
Now we're
2.
talking.
I believe he had 2 jobs. I think he was an architect and a mechanical engineer. I believe they. I don't know what that's what I'm gonna go with.
I All right, so I will give you credit for this one. So technically his job, or he was a civil engineer
Ah, okay.
and he owned a property development business, but I was looking for one or the other. You got it right. So
I'll sit with
two
you
for
on that
me.
one because I
Damn.
was a little off. I'll take the 2.
Mm. Oh man. All right. Only a couple left here. Okay. Um, which Saw had the most kills?
Saw 3D.
All right, you're right,
7.
but you didn't
Oh
place a bet,
shit.
so that's just one sip for me.
Shit, I forget. I already forgot the game.
Yep. All right. That's one sip. That's one
Oh,
sip for me.
fuck.
Okay. Default is one. Okay. So
You know,
this is the last question.
ah,
Okay.
shit. I was doing so well.
Yeah, you were doing well. And you did fairly well on this. You got most of them right. Let's see how you do with this one. Which Saw film or films had the least kills?
I'm gonna wager 3 just because why not? And I'm gonna say Saw the first one.
I'm looking for two here.
Oh, the first one and Spiral.
Incorrect. Okay,
Oh,
so you
what
got a
is
half right. So we each take a sip. So it's Saw and Saw 5. It's a tie with
Saw
six
5 only
kills.
had there were 6 kills in Saw 1?
Hmm. Yes.
Shit, I didn't think there were 6 kills. Okay, there you go. I'll take that. Wow, that's so weird that the fifth one would
Ah,
have.
man.
All
Oof.
right. All right.
That
You know
was
what? I
rough,
don't I,
man.
I
That
guess
was
I don't know them as well as I thought I knew them. But I'm also probably
no,
drinking while I'm watching them.
but you said something very significant earlier is that they blend. They blend together. And me personally, I think I would have to watch these 50 times to recognize the traps, the characters, the differences in storyline, because they all kind of blend.
Yeah, and even though like one they are like kind of concurrent, so like one does kind of affect the next one, so they're like in a sequence. But for whatever reason, like I do watch them out of sequence. I'll pick a random one and I'll be like, I'm just gonna watch Saw 5 tonight just because like fuck it. So like I don't watch them in order, like I just kind of pick them apart. So yeah, it is kind of tough to kind of remember what happens in what. And this one, for whatever reason, the one we're gonna talk about now, Saw 7, for whatever reason, or Saw
Hmm.
3D, I rarely watched this one, and I wasn't sure why. And it is the worst reviewed film in the series. It had a 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I do think
Woo!
it does have the most kills, and there are 26 kills. And while I'm watching this movie, I realized I actually do really like it. And I think why I like it is it's kind of like no bullshit. Like there's very little plot in this movie. It's like trap after trap after trap after trap, and it's like there's a little bit of storyline in there, but the storyline's not really that important. It's really just about like these violent scenes that happen pretty much like I think it's like 30 minutes where they even introduce like a new character. It's just like they're just killing people like all over the place. And I really enjoy it because it's again, I like that like I don't have to really pay too much attention. Like I could come into this movie not even knowing anything that happened in the other movies and like I can figure it out really quick and I could be entertained. So I'll give the plot of it really quick. Again, this is the seventh one in the franchise, came out in 2010. As a deadly battle rages on over Jigsaw's brutal legacy, Jigsaw has been dead now for about 4 movies. A group of Jigsaw survivors gather to seek the support of self-help guru and fellow survivor Bobby Dagan, a man whose own dark secrets unleash a new wave of terror. And what that is Bobby claims to be a Jigsaw survivor. However, he made it all up and has never
Mm.
survived, and Jigsaw is going to put him to the test. Uh, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, like again, like the movie kind of pieces together the loose ends from all of the other movies. Like you see a lot about what happens to Jigsaw's wife, Jill. Why can't I remember the detective who is Jigsaw's main accomplice? Him, you find out what happens with him.
Hoffman?
Hoffman, thank you, thank you. So like it does tie loose ends. It brings back Dr. Gordon in a much different role.
Yes.
Basically, he is changed by Jigsaw's traps, and you find out he's been kind of helping Jigsaw all along. So like there is like plot, but again, the movie is just about the violence and it's about the gore and it's about the traps, and that's why I like it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna add it to my rotation. I usually skip this one.
Yeah,
So
I think you nailed it really with like the description of this film because I wrote a brief description and mine said this: Bobby Dagan's story of Jigsaw survival makes him a target for fame, riches, and Jigsaw himself in this mashup of all the best traps and a lot of brutal new ones.
yeah,
And that's I think exactly what this is. It kind of shows you like some best of traps. It kind of brings you back, and then there's a ton of new ones that are just like over the top. I'm gonna say the acting has suffered quite a bit by the time where we get
yeah, they were phoning
to
this one
this
in.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but what I did like is, I mean, if you're gonna start a film, why don't you start it with a bang? And I say it all the time. I love it. You know, don't slow burn it. Don't slow crawl it to the end. You know, if you're gonna start something, start with a bang. And this one started with like a public trap, and I thought that was awesome because I never even considered that, or maybe I didn't watch enough Saw films that didn't. I thought all these things were kind of done like in like dark warehouses and things like that and areas where people won't be able to find you or save you or it's not even an option. But the way this film started with basically a giant glass room and two guys strapped to two circular saws and a girl that was going to fall down on top of it if they didn't push it at each other. I mean, that was about as brutal and gory as you could start a film. And the fact that it was so public and still no one could really do anything. And I always find it funny when it really kind of reflects real life. And instead of people trying to help, they just pull out their phones and they're trying to record and they're trying to take pictures because honestly, half the people would be doing that. The other half maybe would try to call the police. But I thought that was so funny. And what a way to start this film.
Yeah, and I think this was the first one that had a public trap like that. And I know the first time I watched this movie,
Oh, it
I
did.
remember
Okay.
I remember thinking it was like a gag. Like I'm like, oh, this is like something like people are like pretending to do a saw thing and they're not really because I'd never seen it before. But then
Mm.
once the violence starts and like the saw like gets into a guy, I'm like, oh, this is real. This isn't like they're making a Saw
Oof.
movie or some bullshit. And
Yeah.
you're right, like the people are just watching,
Ooh.
not knowing what to do. Some are phoning. One funny thing that happens is the basically the woman that's hanging above like is basically trying to pit these two guys against each other. She fucked both of them, and she ends up getting it like horribly, and like her intestines are basically falling out. And you hear someone yell, somebody help her. Like, dude, it's over. Like, there's no help for this woman. Her intestines are on the
It's like there's
ground.
20 foot of intestine. It's like you gotta stop.
Somebody do
Sushi made
something.
contact. That's it.
I
Yeah, I
like laughed
mean,
out loud, but yeah, it was super bloody
he,
and like and a lot of these movies they usually do start with some kind of trap in the beginning, at least like some of the sequels. This was like a great way to kind of kick this one off. It was fucking crazy.
I gotta say he definitely worked with a lot of circular saws and his
Saw. It's called
traps,
Saw.
and it is Saw, and maybe that's why I skipped a lot of these films until now because I used to work in a role where I used a circular saw almost every single day. It was a big table saw, and there were a couple times where the wood got stuck and it kicked back on me, or my glove got stuck, and I think when you watch a film like this, you're kind of scared that something might really happen in real
Mhm.
life almost, So maybe that's why I avoided it. I have that real fear because I had to work with a saw, you
So this
know?
was traumatic for you. I get it.
It was a little traumatic because like when you see a saw and it's like I always worried about being pulled in on it,
Yeah.
like anyone who's used a real big table saw, when you push the wood, it brings you in, so you actually kind of become a part of the motion. So I always got scared if someone wasn't helping me on the other side to kind of like dictate that speed, that it would just kind of go and I'd get pulled onto it. And I think I probably had nightmares like that for years and years and years. And I haven't had that job now in probably like 10 or 15 years. But I actually maybe that's why I just skipped it because like I was always scared. I was putting myself in some sort of jigsaw trap.
I'm way too clumsy to use any kind of mechanical saw. Like you will never see me doing that because I will get caught in it. Yeah, and like you said,
Wait,
they bring back
help
some
me.
they bring back some old traps. We do get to actually see the reverse bear trap work because in the
Yep.
first one when they
Hmm.
introduce it, like she gets out of the trap, and in this time the person in that trap is not so successful. So that was super cool to actually see what would happen if that were to go off. And yeah, this movie is fucking brutal. And there's just lots of scenes. Like there's that scene with like I guess the white supremacist that the singer from Linkin Park. That scene where
Oh,
four people
Chester.
get it. Chester Bennington is in the scene. He falls
That
victim to
was
one of the traps.
one of the most brutal scenes I've ever seen in my entire life and totally didn't expect it. And totally, like, I heard he was in one of these films, but I didn't know like the role he played or that he was a part of like a game or a trap. I did not expect what they showed. Ugh. Ugh.
And
Like,
like it's funny
oh.
because and four people that get killed in that scene, each one more brutal than the next. Like it's like, oh, that was
Oh,
gross. Oh, that was even
man.
more gross. Oh, that was fucked up. Like it was
Yeah.
awesome. It was so cool. And again, I won't say this is a good movie because it's not a good movie. However, it's entertaining as fucking hell. It's super cool. It's a cool movie. And it was the one with the largest budget. It's the first Saw to have a budget over 11 million, and most of the budget
Oh, wow.
the extra budget did go to shooting it in 3D. And again, I didn't watch it in 3D. I could see where the gags were. I don't think they're not like overly distracting. Where like when you watch Friday the 13th Part 3 and like it's kind of goofy the way they did the 3D. This one, like, yeah, exactly. A couple of the times you're like, it's
Here,
kind
let
of
me take a
goofy.
sip.
Whoa. It wasn't like distracting to me like in a way that it might have been in other movies. Again, I would have enjoyed it more if it didn't have the few 3D elements that are in it. And I think I did see this in the theaters, but I don't remember seeing it in 3D.
Not distracting.
Whoa! For those of you who are
Okay.
not watching the video, Jerry is making his spicy nacho Doritos in 3D, which is making me starving. Um, but yeah, that made this movie like a little bit harder to shoot and cost a little bit more money, which I think
Okay.
I don't know how profitable this one was because again, this was like not really well reviewed, but again, I think Saw fans will go see anything, and I was one of them.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, I didn't watch it in 3D. I don't think it was available to me on the whatever platform I watched. I don't know if I just had 3D glasses, if it would have worked. I just don't think it would have. If something is authentically 3D, I don't think you can watch it normally, you know? So I think you have to be watching it in 3D. So I'm not quite sure like what happened with there. What I think the big difference in this is the director, that Kevin Gruter, I think is his name. I think he tried to copy a lot of things that James Wan was doing in the initial Saws, and I know their signature things, and he was trying to capture them. I just don't think they were as effective in this
Absolutely.
film, and I found those parts the most annoying parts because like those kind of slick cuts and those sound effects when they ramp them up and they kind of like fast forward, whatever that technique is that they're using. I'm not a filmmaker, I don't know. Um, but I found it very annoying in this film where found it kind of novel, like in the other one. So I was like, oh, that's cool, and then I'm like, this is stupid. I've seen this already, and it's just not as good this time around. So that was definitely a miss for me in this one.
Yeah, and you could tell the directors like they're not as good as the franchise goes on. So James Wan actually only directed the first one, and then Darren Lynn
Okay.
Bousman directed two, three, and I think four. And I felt like those really were closer to James Wan's style. And then I think after that, I don't
Okay.
forget who directed five and six and the guy who directed seven. You're right, they're all kind of trying to copy this style, but they don't do it as well. And you could definitely
Yeah.
tell like it's just a like and it's funny because they're all doing the same thing, but like certain people are more talented. James Wan is more talented than this guy. I think Darren Lynn Bousman did a really good job of kind of mimicking that style, and like he did it his own way, but like also very similar. But after that, like the rest of the directors, yeah, you could tell like a drop off in talent. And again, I don't want to say they're not
Oh
talented because I
yeah.
haven't seen their other work, but if you compare like it to these other films, like it does seem like a drop off in filmmaking for sure. Um, which you think like how hard is it to not like just to copy a movie and like how do you just not do it? But it's not that easy. It's just when we see it remakes, right? Like even remakes that are like
Well,
almost shot for shot, like you could see a difference. You're like, yeah, but it's not as good because like the nuances, like the subtle things are what make these movies or make any movie like good.
so I like that you said that, and I do agree. The thing is with these films, and this is the part I don't understand. It's like the traps are always good. They're always effective. They always really work. They're always shot exactly the way that they should be shot. How come the rest of the film isn't that way? You know what I'm saying? Like how come all the traps were awesome? Like honestly, Chester Bennington's trap where he's like glued to a car seat was probably one of the most gruesome things I've ever seen in the way of
Yeah, his
shot. It was
skin
kind of
all comes off.
slow
Yeah, it was
with him like
disgusting.
stretching and his skin is coming. I mean, it was shot so well. Then how come you can't get like the easy things right, like the quick camera angles and the right angle for the actor or things like that? Like how come it falls off there, but it's not falling off during the trap? Like
Yeah.
that's the one thing that bothered me because I was starting to think that I'm like, you captured the trap. How come you're not capturing the rest of this film properly and making it as good as the first one? That's my thought on that.
Yeah, and I think I read with this one that they filmed the traps last. So they filmed, and that might have been because of the 3D, but they filmed all the other parts first and then went back and did that stuff. So like it wasn't even like, okay, one day we're doing a trap and the next day we're gonna do like some
Yeah.
dialogue. Like they shot all of that together. So you'd think, yeah, like how does it seem like a completely different movie? Like that maybe that's why, because maybe like I don't know, maybe they took time off, maybe like James Wan actually came to set for those days and kind of like helped. It's possible, right? Like he was probably producer, I'm sure. So like, or maybe somebody came in that like knew more and we're like, no, 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 do it this
It's like
way. And
all
then they
hands
just,
on deck. I see what you're
yeah, and they
saying.
and they
Yeah.
just weren't there for the other bullshit because they're like, oh, anyone could shoot that, right? And like, but that's you can't. Not any like filmmaking's not easy, right? It's like tough. So they might have even had different crews for all we knew, where like they brought back people to shoot just that shit because that's what people care about, right? Again, I zone out for the
Yeah.
rest of the
That's what you
movie. Like
like.
it's like not that interesting. Like it's especially this one, the plot gets really convoluted, like it gets complex as hell. It's just like I don't give a shit. Like just show me people like in these cool traps. That's what I want to see. So yeah, so they probably spent a lot more time, maybe have more people. That's my gut is telling me that. And just in general, maybe this director just, isn't that good at this other shit, but like I don't know, I have to see his other work to kind of know. But I get what you're saying completely. It
I
does feel like a
I
huge drop
definitely
off.
I feel that and honestly, yeah, the highlight of this film is the traps. So I mean, I have to ask, like, what because there's not a lot of plot for us to discuss here. What was your favorite trap
So,
in this film?
I really liked where the woman was like running through and like she kept getting like the really hot kind of like steam and she had to like kind of go through the thing and the guy
Ooh.
was kind of like guiding her. I just thought that was really fucked up. That was this movie, right?
Yeah,
I watched a bunch of them other than this
yeah,
one.
yeah.
I went on a Saw kick, and after I
No.
watched this, I watched a ton of them. Yeah, and he's kind of guiding her through. I thought that was really cool. The other thing I thought that was really cool was I forget what the actual trap was, but like one thing that always bugged me about these movies is these people get in these situations where you have like a minute to do all this shit. And they don't do anything for like 30 seconds. Like they waste that like
Mm,
contemplating like should I do this? Should I do that? The guy like he has to like pull out his teeth because like the combination is on his teeth. And he doesn't hesitate. He goes
yeah,
right
yeah,
for that fucking tooth. Like he's not like, should I do it? Should I not
yeah.
do it? He gets right to it. And because of that, he's able to kind of like get through it. But I kind of like that because that's something that bothered me in every one of these movies. I'm like, dude, like you're almost out of time, man. And
Like,
like by the time you start doing it, it's already too late. So you might as well just why go through the torture if you're just gonna die anyway? Like deal with it.
just
Like
die, just
yeah,
die.
yeah. Instead of like pulling out your fucking eyeball, right? It's like I'm just gonna like let it go. So like I thought that was like a cool kind of technique. I don't
Let,
know.
let me.
The fish hook was really cool. Um, yeah, I mean they were all like really dope, I thought.
I mean, there was a lot of good things. I like when he was kind of guiding his friend who couldn't see, and he was like
Oh
basically
yeah.
walking on like a wooden plank. I mean, imagine having that responsibility, and this guy is probably walking on like 6 inches. That was kind of brutal, and I think I kind of liked like one of the last traps where his wife gets stuck in basically like this oven and kind of gets fried. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
right
like
in front of him. Yeah,
that's
yeah. It was
yeah,
super gory.
that's something that nobody like that no one wants to die that way, like some sort of pizza oven fire cylinder kind of thing, you know? Like that's probably like one of my worst fears. I don't want to die that way. Yeah, it's brutal.
And the other thing I did like, and just to kind of spoil at the end, is the guy like the story he tells is he survived this trap where he had to put hooks through his chest and pull himself up. And like he ended up doing that and surviving. And in the movie, I believe it's the final test, is he needs to do that. And what's funny is it doesn't
Oh,
actually work, and the hooks don't support him. So it just
yeah.
shows that like the bullshit
Oh,
trap he made
so
up like wasn't even real. Like I think they did that just to kind
oh,
of like fuck with him because at this point Jigsaw's long gone.
it
Again,
was
he's been
gross.
dead, and like they're not trying to even like give people a chance. At this point, it's like they don't want anyone to survive any of this shit. It's like, you're meant to kind of die at this point. And I thought that was pretty cool and fucked up.
I mean, this guy, his friends, his family, everyone basically died because he's a liar.
Yeah.
Like that's like I mean, there's worse people in life to target than like a greedy liar, and that's really all he was. He wasn't like this despicable person. He was just a liar, and he made some money and he found a niche. It's like I don't think he deserved to go through that. And his trap was Oh man, you reminded me of it now. I just remember, oh, ugh, oh man,
Yeah.
it's just like that dry heave kind of like, oh, like because you could all these traps they kind of touch like a nerve where you could almost imagine if it was you and what it would feel like, and you're just like, oh God, like that would hurt so bad. Like couldn't do
Yeah.
it, and I couldn't even like pull my own tooth out, you know. I mean, could you pull a tooth out? Like, no way, right?
I don't even know if I physically could do that, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's one thing I do like about these movies is like you do put yourself in their shoes and you say, okay, could I do
Yeah.
this if I want to survive? And some of them I'm like, you know what? I would fucking just go for it. I'm not saying I would be successful, but I would at least give it a try. And then some of these, it's like, you know what? Like, fuck it. Like, just I can't do that. Or like I won't be able to like I'm
Not
gonna
me.
die. I'm not gonna make it. Yeah, like I don't think I could pull a tooth out. And like he struggles, but he's like slamming his head into the like it gets graphic as fuck because it's not that easy to like do that. So yeah, but yeah, these movies do get you.
No,
They're visceral. Like they make you have a reaction, which even when they're not good, they're good, I think. And that's again why I keep coming back to this franchise. Like I get why people don't like them. It's like if it's not for you, it's definitely not for you, right? But like I don't know, it's for me, man. I think they're fun. So we have one more to talk about after this. So why don't we rate this one? 0 to 5 bloody knives. What do you give it?
this was not Saw one,
No, it was
but
not.
there was, you know, that it was fun, and I never disregard fun. Um, the traps were they were great. They were over the top, and again, they make you think about like if you were in the trap, could you do it? Can you do this if your family was involved? And you know, the fact that it got me thinking about that kind of kind of spoke to me, kind of resonated with me because I'm like, why am I even thinking about this? This is completely fucking made up. So like, why am I even thinking about it? But the fact that it brings you to that point and it kind of always brings you to like some sort of life and death situation and how far would you go? And would you do this one but not do that one? And I think that's a really interesting debate. And I think that's what kind of makes these films. I think the gore was a 10 out of 10. So if I was just rating it on that, you know, it'd get a 5, but it's a film. I'm probably not going to watch this one again. Um, it wasn't that interesting to me. If I just wanted to watch like something really gory and bloody, I'd put it on, but it's not something I'm going to really lock into. So I'm going to give this one what I probably should have gave the initial one in 2004. I'm only giving this one 1.5 bloody
Oh,
knives.
interesting. Yeah, I have a different feeling as I'm sure you could tell by me talking about it. Yeah, again, is it a
Yeah,
good
you
movie? Is it
you
a good
feeling
movie?
it.
No, not a good movie, but I will watch it again. I find it entertaining and
Really?
again, I like this one more than I like some of the other ones in the franchise. I think 5 and 6 are pretty bad. I actually like this one. I'm surprised that I actually really like this one. I'm gonna give it a 3. So I drink
Oh
one
my
and a
God.
half. You gotta do 3.
I have just enough in here to
All
do it.
right,
So
cheers.
cheers.
I
Look,
just
we
re-upped.
ready? 3D cheers. Ready?
Whoa. Mm. God, I just poured more and it's not cold yet. Oh, that was so gross. Yeah,
Oh,
Mexican whiskey. There's a reason why Mexico's not known for whiskey, because
not
this
known
is
for their whiskey.
absolutely disgusting. It's that ancestral corn, I guess. Is maybe it's like really old corn or some
Yikes.
shit. So before we actually get to Saw 10, there's like one last thing that I just thought of that I want to talk about Saw 3D.
Hmm.
It's like we talked about this one having the most kills. The scene with Hoffman kind of going through the police station and just killing everybody, I thought was just awesome. It was just insane. It was just like body after body of this guy's like the Terminator, basically just like killing everybody, which like I don't know if I've seen that in another one of these Saw films where there's just someone going on a rampage of just destruction, which I thought was like it was cool to see like that level of violence when like a lot of these Saw movies again it's like trap then trap then trap and this was like a break from all that just while just tons of people are getting fucking murdered, which I thought was
Yeah,
cool.
just a gore fest, not really cerebral like some of the other ones are, where you're just like really contemplating what you would do, how to get out of this trap, all these different scenarios. This guy was just like mashing it up, taking care of everyone. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I did like that. Again, you know, I'm like, don't let my rating like really sway anyone like a lot of people would enjoy that particular one. But what weighs heavy for me is would I watch it again?
Right.
And I would say probably not. I could probably go another 20 years and never watch it again and just be fine. Um, so maybe that's why I rated it a little low. It just wasn't uh like it was good, but it was like it just I don't know.
It's not a must watch
There's
for
other things
you.
I can watch.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I get it.
There's other things I can watch and get that level of gore and horror and slasher to it.
Yeah, and I think if I wasn't a fan of the franchise in general, like I'd probably just watch another slasher movie, right? But because like I
Yeah,
like this kind of
exactly.
movie is why I kind of like it. So we're gonna pivot to Saw X or Saw 10, which came out in 2023.
Yeah,
So basically, they kind of killed the franchise in a way with they tried to reboot it, made a movie called Spiral, which starred Chris Rock, which is not very good. It was an interesting kind of twist on the movie. It does not have Jigsaw in the movie. Again, they tried to kind of start something new. They realized that didn't work, so they said, let's make one more and let's bring back Jigsaw. Let's bring back Tobin Bell. And this movie, it takes place in between Saw 1 and Saw 2, which was interesting. So when you're watching the movie, I'm trying to like understand like where in the timeline is this because they don't really explain to like 40
yeah,
minutes of the movie where you're sitting, but this does take place in between Saw 1 and 2. John Kramer, Jigsaw, is dying of cancer, basically, and has no way out. And he travels to Mexico for a risky experimental medical procedure. He's swindled into thinking it worked. When he finds out it was all a scam, he tracks down everyone involved and makes them suffer by building some of the fastest traps I think he's ever built. I don't know how he pulled it all together, but he's Jigsaw and he did. And I will say, I was skeptical about this movie because I'm like, okay, I'm over this at this point. Like, you made 9 movies, like I don't need another one. I love this movie, and what I love about it is it's very true to Saw, but it's also very different. I think like Saws 1 through 9 are very similar. They're all like the same movie. This is like a completely different direction in just tone and style. It is kind of the first movie where you're really kind of rooting for Jigsaw. Like he's kind of the protagonist for sure in this movie because the other characters are so despicable. It's the first one where he's really getting revenge, I think, like in a meaningful way. And I just really like what they did with it. It was a very fresh take on the franchise. And I'm kind of bummed that they're not going to make a sequel to this, although I know Tobin Bell is like 83 years old, so I kind of get why they're not. Um,
I didn't know that.
yeah, he's older, and apparently they just couldn't like Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures couldn't agree on a script, and they just said, "Fuck it, it's just we're not going to do it." Again, I really like this movie. It has like some of the most brutal traps. There's a ton of blood, and it's a really interesting story. It plays very well. It's like it's very different, and it's not even though it's graphic and gory, it's not torture porn like all of the others. So I really
No.
appreciate this movie and yeah, I really like it. So you as somebody again not a huge Saw fan, but now you've seen a bunch of them. How do you feel about this one as opposed to the other ones? I feel like this one's a good it could stand alone on its own, I feel like.
Yeah, so just kind of going back to our previous conversation, I accidentally watched Spiral and I didn't know it was a Saw film when I watched it. And then when I realized it was, I was like, oh, this is kind of stupid. And I was like, is this where they're at in this franchise? I thought it was really lame. I don't know why, but maybe last year I put this film on for the first time and I was kind of blown away that it wasn't at all what I was expecting. Exactly what you said. The look, the feel, the tone, the mood is saw-ish, but it is a fresh perspective on it. And this by far has the biggest plot line. This by far has the best acting, hands down. And I think that's what I like about this film. And I'm sorry if the people that love Saw, like that's the thing they hate about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how it is to love a franchise, and there are franchises that I love, and the things I love about it are probably what other people find stupid and dumb. And when someone says, "Oh, well, this is the best one because of this, this, and this," they get really annoyed with you because it's like you're not true or authentic. So I get that. So I don't want to speak from being like a Saw fan. I want to speak right now from just being like a horror film fan. And I think this had a great plot line, really believable, really engaged with the character, totally making, John a tragic hero, and really raising the brutality to a level where you're like, yeah, get him. It's like you're rooting for this guy to kill people, and you finally feel like he's targeting people that probably deserve this sort of treatment. And I loved it. And I thought the traps were just as gruesome as they were in the past. And they were able to balance that along with really good acting, storyline. The setting in Mexico was fantastic. There's so many things I liked about that. And I just want to say I didn't watch this film once. I didn't watch it two times. At this point for this podcast, I think this is like the fifth time I watched this film. That's because I like it.
Wow, that's amazing to hear because yeah, I really like the direction they took it in. And again, I'm a fan of the franchise, and again, I do think this does stay true to it. But yeah, it's a completely different perspective. It's fresh, and yeah, and it's like we were talking earlier, like the people he kills in most of the movies are pieces of shit. But in this one, like that, the main villain is fucking evil. Like taking money from
Evil,
dying people is horrific,
terminal
and
people.
you
Yeah.
want to see her get it, and it has like the twists and turns that you would expect from like a Saw movie. Like again, the ending, like you're like, oh shit. I think
Again,
yeah, I think that the traps are absolutely brutal. And like I know you talked about this earlier. This movie like is like out of all the traps I've ever seen, the ones that make me like go, ugh, are in this
like,
movie.
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
the scene
for
where the
sure.
girl has to cut off her leg with that like wire saw is fucking disgusting. Where
Oh man, you can
and one
feel it.
thing,
Like you can feel
yeah,
it, right?
yeah, and one thing they do that's really effective is like they're like so he has multiple people in a room, they're all chained up, and one by one they go through the traps and they have to watch. And they do a good job of cutting to other people's reactions. And they specifically cut to this one character, Gabriella, and every time she's like,
Yeah,
ugh. So like when
yeah,
she does it, I do it. And like they do a really good job of like playing off of each other. Where and like you said, the acting is better. Like it's like really like believable what these people are going through, and they're fucked up as anything. Like I yeah, I there and the final thing I will say with the bloodboarding trap, like
oh yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
much fucking blood. And for those of you who haven't seen the movie, basically what happens is John Kramer and another character are chained down to this board. They quote unquote have caught John Kramer, Jigsaw. Him and this other character, this child, are chained to this like seesaw. And what happens is there's buckets above them that are pouring blood into their mouth like waterboarding, and they have to like take turns, like basically drowning in it. Like they could only save each other, and they go back and forth, and it's just so disgusting and graphic. And I felt like I'm choking just by watching it. Like just the amount of blood that like they end up swallowing, it was so fucking gross. And the fact that one of them is like a child, like a 10-year-old boy is like being tortured, and they're just watching made it even more effective. Thumbs up for me.
yeah. Like no one's innocent in these films. Anyone could be a part of these traps. Anyone could be a victim, and they don't care if it's a, innocent person, a person that played a small part, or like a child. They're just gonna take you and put you in these situations, and these situations do make you feel like they're claustrophobic. They do make you feel like you can't breathe. And again, they make you feel like you're a part of it and how you would feel if you were in it. My favorite trap was one of the first ones. It was kind of like a Edward Forty Hands kind of trap
Yeah.
where he basically tied like explosives to like this guy's hand, and the only way that he could get himself out of it was to use a scalpel and dig himself out. Which, I mean, first of all, it's a little bit ridiculous because if you were digging into your arm with a scalpel to remove a bomb, you wouldn't be able to use that hand
And you'd
anymore.
cut through your
To
veins and like,
like, yeah,
yeah.
you wouldn't be able to use that hand anymore to remove the next one. But again, um, they don't get that deep. They just kind of ramp up the brutality, and all you could think about is, would I stick a scalpel in my arm to try to remove a bomb, or would I just take the bomb? And I mean, for me, that was a tough one. I think I just would have went bomb on that one because it was pretty brutal. But excuse me. I did like a lot of things like this. I did like when he went to the hospital in Mexico, and I like how they built up that whole scene where it was like this secluded private hospital that had to be protected by the military because of, big pharma. And they were tapping into a lot of like societal issues and political issues. And it's like, you could kind of almost be like, I could see someone doing this, and
No,
like
absolutely.
like as outlandish as a lot of these plots are, you could almost be like, yeah, I could see this, and I could see why he went for it. Someone as intelligent as he is, and that's something that is something you can't dispute. You can't dispute that John is extremely intelligent. I mean, he was very successful, whatever career he had. He was extremely rich. He was able to, build and pay for all these traps, and it was never an issue for him. So
Yeah.
clearly he's super intelligent and good at what he does. So for the fact that he believed that this was something that would be possible, it's like you kind of believe it as well. And I was like, yeah, man. I'm like, I hope this surgery works. I mean, that's kind of like
Yeah. No.
where I was putting myself because I'm like, I don't want him to die. And I'm like, yeah, he's an evil piece of shit. I'm like, I don't want him to die. He's old and he has cancer and I don't want him to die. And I just I guess you could see almost like where he fell for it. And I think my question for you is I don't think they made it um super clear is when he was kind of walking around and he runs into that guy that was in those meetings with him,
Yeah.
like those
The other
cancer
cancer
patient
survivor. Yeah.
meetings. I can't think of his name. I guess it doesn't matter.
It's not a man. He's in the
But
movie 2 minutes. Yeah.
yeah, he's now. Do you think that guy was a part of this plot?
Oh, yeah.
Like or do you think this was just, or he thought that he was saved as well, and maybe in a couple months he realized that he's going to die, or do you think that this is someone they just planted in these group meetings just to kind of run into people and be like, oh, hey, this worked for me because I was like stage 4 and now I'm okay, and to kind of give people hope. Do you think he was in on it?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And like, I never thought too hard about it, but the reason why I think so, it's like, how often do you just run into like a person you saw once, right?
Mm,
And I don't think they never really say where Saw takes place, although I did read that in Saw 1, they look at a map and it's Washington, D.C. So I imagine they're in a heavy populated area. The odds of him just running into this guy randomly, I think are like almost none. So it just, and that's what sets off the whole thing. Like if he didn't run into this guy in this one place, none of this would have happened. Like so, I absolutely think that this guy's a plant.
he'll definitely scam. Okay.
Goes to these cancer survivor meetings. Probably had some kind of fake surgery to give him that scar, and that's all part of the thing. And that guy does get away unscathed, at least in this movie. He's one of the only people that kind of get away. But yeah, I think like what you said, they make Jigsaw very sympathetic, and if you just saw this movie, you think that he is just trying to do the right thing. And they bring back Amanda, which I think is great from like the first movie and the second movie,
Hmm.
and she's in some of the other ones. I thought that was really cool how they brought her back and kind of like gives it that throwback feel. I guess the one thing, this it is outlandish, like you said, and you can't really think about the plot holes too much and like how any of this could have happened. And I kind of said it a little bit when I was like saying the synopsis. I probably didn't phrase it right, but the fact that he's able to make these elaborate traps in like a random warehouse, how would he get all the machinery? Like it's impossible. Like he could have done any of this shit. Like even with all the money in the world, he's in Mexico, doesn't know anybody, and he's gonna like, build this crazy iron contraptions out of like where's he gonna get all the fucking parts? So like that's a ridiculous, but you could suspend disbelief, right? Because it doesn't
I
matter.
mean, and he has 60 days to live at this
Yeah,
point, maybe.
yeah,
He
there's no
he's
way.
not he's not 100% there, but I did preface what I said by saying he's extremely talented. We have to assume that because of the ability that he had in all the other films to make the traps and to think these things out and to have the money to do them. We have to assume that, he was like he can think on the fly like this, and he is always one step ahead of you because he thought of every possible scenario. And again, this is like one of those situations where you think maybe he's like, he's not 100%, and this time they're going to get over on him. But once again, he proves that he's the smartest guy in the room, and you're not going to get anything over on him. And I think all the twists and turns of this one kind of bolsters that. I don't know if we're going to give up any of the real details of the or any of the twists, but I think
Yeah, I wouldn't because like I think even though like a lot of them you kind of do see some of these coming, like just because I know these movies very well, like and I kind of like like I kind of can get where it was going, but if you're like not overly familiar, I think a lot of them could be like super like
so we won't spoil.
yeah, I
Okay,
don't want to
yeah,
spoil it. Yeah. The one thing that so there's one thing about this movie that I don't like and it bothers me every time I watch it. And I really like this movie and I've watched it a ton of times. It's a filmmaking thing. And I know these movies like always have a coloring and they're either like this green or
yeah,
blue or they do this yellow. And a lot of this movie is that yellow color. And I
yeah.
don't like it. I really don't like the yellow, especially with like the blood and stuff like that. It just doesn't look
Mhm.
right to me. And I do feel like too much of this movie is very yellow saturated, which takes me out of it a little bit, just because I think it could look better if they used the other colors. Like I get what they were trying to like do was probably like an artistic choice based on again the location being Mexico and kind of it being a different type of movie than the Saw movies. And they used the yellow color in Saw 3D, and I didn't like it either. And probably some of the other movies, but that's my one thing is that, oh man, I wish it wasn't so fucking yellow in some of these
Yeah,
parts.
this film didn't look like it needed to be masked with any sort of filtering. Obviously, the first one, and I mentioned that the blue filtering, it was effective in that one, but they used it to their advantage and probably helped them overcome a lot of issues that they couldn't deal with, with production and money and things like that. For this one, I felt like it stood on its own and it had that production value where they didn't need to like rely on any sort of weird tricks like that. And I think if they really went more into like, the coloring and the feel of this film, it would have probably brought me in even more because you're right. It does kind of like look odd at times and it looks just like a trick.
Hmm.
And there was there was no need for it. It felt like they had the budget to do whatever it was that they were trying to accomplish without covering it with, some weird amber lens or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you there.
I think it was probably just to stay true to the other films. Like I'm assuming they're like, well, like we made a very different film, but we do need to make it feel Saw, so let's give it this color. But like you said, it doesn't need it. It could have standed like without it. And I think again, like the Saw fans, like there's gonna be people that love it. You're gonna piss off some people because it's different. Like I don't think that anyone's like, well, at least it had the yellow. Like I don't think that
Yeah,
made it
no
for
one's
anybody, you
no one's
know.
excited about that.
No. I think if they would have done the blue or the green, it would have been better too. But like, just the yellow was hard to look at for long periods of time. I agree, though; it didn't
I
need any of
loved
that.
I loved the setting and the atmosphere. I wish they leaned more into like the lush colors of what was around them and the sterile colors of the hospital. And there were so many things that I felt like would have been more natural and true to life if they didn't use it. I would have liked that better. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
I
I
guess
completely agree.
whatever they used it for, I don't. What I did see in this film, which is something I never saw before, and I've watched a lot of films in my life, Rich, and there was this one scene where they took the entrails
I wrote that down. I was gonna get to that next.
and they used it as like a lasso.
Like that's how ridiculous. And it's funny too, because like that actually bothers me because the movie is
No,
like
that's awesome. How's that bother you?
so it is awesome. So basically they're trying to get like a cell phone off a table. So the lead villain cuts out someone's intestines and uses like I said, a lasso to get the cell phone. And again, like and you find out later they left the cell phone, like John left the cell phone there for a purpose because he knew that they would do something like that. But to me, like it's so ridiculous and I get this movie's ridiculous. It's Saw 10 and like some of this is just insane. But to me, that was like a little too cartoonish because the
What?
movie's like really dark and kind of serious, even though it's like again Saw 10. For me, I'm just like I that's like was a little goofy for me,
It
but it
doesn't
was.
get any darker than entrails, dude.
Would that work? I wonder would that work.
Just imagine being in that room. You're the three people left, and they're like, you gotta grab those intestines. And
So
you
you
know what
know
you
what
gotta do.
what would have been better is like if like the character that didn't want to do that had to do that,
Yeah.
right? Because like the woman, it was the main villain is the one who did it, right?
Cecilia, yeah,
Yeah,
like
and like she doesn't give a
yeah.
fuck. She will like just she's not like affected by that. I think it would have been great if like Gabriella like she had to do it. Like and she had to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that would have
make
been
her do it. Yeah.
that would have been cooler because then you could have dealt with like her like oh god this is so gross instead of just
Like
being like I'm
throwing up and stuff
yeah
like that, really going over the
yeah
top
if they
with
would have
it,
done that I would have
like it's
liked it better.
slipping out of her hands. Yeah, but I mean, I thought the fact that their heads went there and that they actually tried it, I mean, it was absolutely something I never imagined or saw in film before, and I
It's like
was
something
like,
you would see in like a
wow.
Peter Jackson movie, you know? Like it
Peter Jackson or
would-
like some sort of like maybe like early 80s kind of like Asian kind of
yeah, they would have
horror
done
back
it.
then, like
Yeah.
entrails of a virgin, things like that, like where they used to go like really over the top with like gore and nudity and things like that. Yeah, maybe you would see it in that, but they went for it here. They did it in 2023, and that was a bold choice because honestly, that probably made a lot of people sick, man. Like to
Yeah, it was
us, like
gross. It was fucking
you
disgusting.
you found it funny, like I found it gross, and but there's going to be people that are find it disturbing, and probably got nauseous just thinking about that. But I mean, yeah, obviously after I saw it the first few times, now I kind of see the comedy in it,
Mhm.
and I look forward to it. But the first time I saw it, that's what I'm referring to here. Is I was just it was again one of those like WTF moments where you can't even comprehend what you're looking at and the ends that people will go to save themselves from these jigsaw traps.
And you might actually hate this, but so I watched this movie. I think the first time I watched this movie, it was I watched it with my mom when she was visiting out here a year ago. And just a funny story is that when I used to live in New York,
This is already a funny story that you watched it with your mother, but
when I
okay, go
when I
ahead.
used to when I used to live in New York, every time a Saw movie would come out, we would go to the movies together to watch it because my mom really likes these movies too. And I think that's another reason why I like them, maybe more than I should, is because I got to bond. I would go with her all the time, and I thought that was like it was just interesting. I'm going with my mom to go see Saw 4. You know? I
That's
don't
really
think, and,
nice.
and and I remember watching that movie and looking over at her and not affected, was not grossed out.
Mm.
She's
She didn't care about the entrails. She's
she's
like
hard. She's hardcore,
could
man.
have
She's
could have
hardcore.
did better.
She's like, I
They
would have
should
done it
have
faster.
they should have gave it to Gabriella and made it more gooey. That's funny.
Yeah,
Man, yeah, I definitely never watched Saw with my mother.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
definitely
well,
a
it's
little
funny. She's like visiting. I'm like, well, we gotta watch a movie. Like, what are we gonna do tonight? I'm like, have you seen Saw 10 yet? She's like, no.
damn. Well, you
Right?
want to know
So,
what? I hope the next Saw comes out so you could go watch that Saw with your mother. And I think I know a director that may be able to do this film. And he may be here right now. That's all I'm saying.
I will say I will be happy to have a conversation with Lionsgate about the sequel if they're open to doing it. Again, it would probably have to be a reboot, but I will stay true to the franchise. I will not make something as bad as Spiral. I promise you
All right. So you heard it here first, Lionsgate and ladies and gentlemen, that Rich is putting his hat in the ring to pick up the reins for the next Saw franchise. And
Yeah, I'll do it. Fuck
I
it.
know we discussed this, you and I, of scripting a wrong turn, and it never came to fruition because we kept trying to hit on an even number because those are the better ones than the odd ones, and it just didn't end in our favor for us to be able to script and submit our vision of like what wrong turn should be. But I think this is a prime opportunity leading off of this amazing Saw film to really put a different stamp on it and take it in the next direction that this film should go into. And obviously, I think the direction that they were trying to go into is that Amanda would obviously take the reins and be the new Jigsaw. And I do think that she was definitely evil enough at some points to be able to do it, even though during this film she kind of questioned herself. I think in John's passing that she would have been like, it's now my duty to continue for him.
Yeah, unfortunately though, what you probably don't know is that in Saw 3 they kill her off. So
What? What are you talking
she
about?
doesn't survive long. Yeah, they kill
She'll
Amanda.
survive?
No, they kill her in Saw 3. Which is the same Saw that John Kramer dies actually.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
So why'd they set
But
it up
yes.
for her?
Yeah, because
All right.
but
So
again,
the
but
Mexican kid with the soccer ball should
he
be
would be the next killer. Yes,
the
yes, the little kid that survives, I think would he survived the
Okay.
trap. He has a newfound respect for life, and I think the next
Well,
one would probably be him taking over because yeah, Amanda does not make it very far. But again, if when they were going to do a sequel, it was going to be a direct sequel to this, so it still would have had
oh, I
John.
understand. So
So
they're gonna keep going backwards to
yeah,
go
because again,
forward.
so yeah, he dies in Saw 3, and this again takes place before Saw 2. So they probably would have done another one right before Saw 2 with Amanda kind of, but who knows what the hell they would have done. They never did anything. But
All right,
yeah,
so I do look like a punk. I do look like a punk, but I just want everyone to know that there are plenty of franchises that I know front to back. I really don't know Saw 2. I really don't
yeah,
know Saw 3,
this isn't
Saw
your thing.
4.
I only know it because
Like
I'm
this
a
this
nerd and I've seen them 100
this
times.
this
And
definitely isn't my thing, so I apologize for Amanda, but it sounds like they were bringing it back to push the storyline forward, which happens often, which could be a requel. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you set it up,
recool.
you set it up with, the same premise, but you introduce new people to take it on to that next step that the film needs to go into.
Yeah, I
So
think what
that's
they
probably
learned.
what the next one would have been.
Yeah, what they learned is that people want Jigsaw. They want Tobin Bell. They want John Kramer. Even though he's like a lot of this is like what's interesting about this movie. It's the one he's in it the most. Most of the
Mm,
movies he's in it for like a couple of minutes. Like he's not
like
in them
10
very.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't. Even though he's the one you remember, he's like barely in the movies. But people want him. They want that's who they want. So they would have kind of like you said taken this. It probably would have been like again a prequel to Saw 2. It would have been him and Amanda kind of doing some more shit. Who knows? But anyway, to wrap it up, and again, I'm happily will direct Saw 11, or if you just want to call it a Saw reboot, maybe then after I make that successful, we'll get our budget for. I think we wanted to do Wrong Turn 9. I don't know if they're up to 9, but we wanted to do number 9 because
We're, we're
the odd
trying we're
turns are better.
trying to get there, yes. And let me tell you something. We're sitting on a fantastic idea for the last decade that would totally revolutionized the Wrong Turn franchise. So if again, Lionsgate's out there, they want to, come speak to us. We're really cheap, a couple barrels of bourbon, we're good.
And look, and if they give us the movie, let us do Wrong Turn 9. I'll tell you what we'll do. Here's my promise to whoever owns the rights. We will do a podcast episode on the Wrong Turn franchise, but only if you let us write and direct the movie. If
I
you
mean,
don't,
if
fuck it. We're
you
never going to
want
talk
your
about it ever
franchise to blow up, it
again.
needs to be discussed on this show
Yeah.
with our hundreds of thousands of viewers. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to kind of like kickstart your film career again, it's really being on this show. So yeah, we could do that for you, Wrong Turn. So
Yeah, and
we're
I'm not
putting
going
that
to
out
mention
there.
wrong
Saw and
turn
Wrong Turn.
ever again. I'm never going to say wrong turn until they give it to us. So like they'll see the sales plummet after this episode. So anyway, let's
Hmm.
wrap this one up. Let's rate Saw 10 on a scale of 0 to 5. Jerry, what do you give this one? Hopefully I don't have to pour any more
B
because I want to be done with this whiskey.
Yeah. Before I rate it, I just want to ask you, what is the unofficial name of Jigsaw's puppet?
Billy. It's Billy.
All right, I'll drink to that then. And listen, the reason why I maybe didn't give the other films that we watched recently such high marks is because I really wanted to dedicate to this one. I thought this was a standout film. This was so much different from all the other ones I saw. I think I watched five and six during my October challenge. Again, really didn't even remember I watched it. When we started discussing doing this franchise, I didn't even remember I watched those films. So that's how it felt to me. This film I watched four or five times. I really like it, and if it's on, I'm gonna watch it again, and I'm gonna try to own this because I like it and I want to keep watching it. I like this film. I wish there was another one
Well,
leading
there will
off of
be.
this one because yeah,
When
I
I do
thought
it.
I thought they went in a great direction. I thought it really hit the mark. I think it really hit 2023. There was nothing wrong with this film. Good film. Four Bloody Knives.
Wow, that's nice. That's really high. And yeah, like so the interesting thing about this movie too, it's the longest of the franchise. And usually I have
It
a
is
really hard problem with long movies, and this one's just under 2 hours.
2 hours.
And even though it's like it is a little bit of a slow burn first, like while they're really setting up everything, it doesn't drag for me, and I don't mind that it's 2 hours. And like, could it be shorter? Sure, every movie could be shorter, but the fact that it's 2 hours and I've watched it so many times and feel entertained is a big thing. I am actually going to give it a four also because again, the
Wow.
yellow does take me out of it and it is a little outlandish, but I'm going to give it a four. And I really like the movie also. Maybe I like it. I probably like it more than the original, which I also gave four. But again, I don't think I'd go higher than that. So I will cheers 4 sips. That will finish my Mexican whiskey. Oh, oh God, that's gross. And I still have a sip left that I don't know what I'm gonna do with. I would say out of the Saw films, I like the first one. I really like the second one. The third one I like a lot, although that is a little long also. That's close to 2 hours also. I really like Saw X, Saw 10. I'm starting to like Saw 7. Saw 4 is okay. 5 and 6 are pretty awful. Jigsaw's awful. Spiral's awful. I will watch them though. I don't care how bad they are, but that's if I had to pick, that's kind of how I kind of rate them.
So you cannot put this down to odd and even, is what it sounds like to me.
No.
It's not that simple where you could be like, all the even ones are better than all the odd ones. Okay.
Yeah. And again, they all
Interesting.
like again, I like the lore of it. I like how they tie them all together. So like they all kind of I enjoy them all because of that, at least until it gets to some of the later ones. Like Jigsaw, it kind of doesn't really tie in too much. But yeah, I would say that the first three, then you can kind of skip the next couple, come back for Saw 7, skip the next couple, come back for Saw 10. I would
I
say
mean
Saw 10 is probably the
that's
best one though. That's like the
that's
best
that's a
build.
really I mean that's a successful franchise that you could watch more than two or three out of the 10 films. I mean, that's fantastic because I mean, I don't even know if you could say that about Halloween
You
and
can.
some of those other
You
franchises.
definitely can.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There is a point where things just get so far removed from the original storyline that it's just silly. And I'm not an expert in this franchise yet, but what I can see is that the films I did watch, they all make sense, and I do understand the plot, and I wish I did understand them at a deeper level. So I will have to go back in and rewatch those earlier ones and some of the ones in the middle to really put everything together. But I do see how it all comes together, and I think that's, you know, those are tent poles of a successful franchise. And this is a good one. I'm glad we did it. You know, I know when we were talking about, I threw out a topic for us to do. We were kind of freestyling, and I'm like, let's just do a franchise. And threw a few different franchises at you, and you're like, cool, let's do Saw. And you didn't see me because we were texting, and I was just kind of like, oh,
I figured
you know,
that.
I
I
was just
figured you
like,
were not going to be happy about
I was
it.
like, I was like, what, man, Saw? I'm like I threw out like Texas. I threw out a couple different things. I'm like, fuck, man, and I'm like, but you know what? I'm like, maybe he's suggesting it. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something I'm missing. And there is something there. And there is something I'm missing. Because now that I watched the first one, I get it. I get why this was like a revolutionary film. And this should be in the canon of all horror films, especially in the slasher film. When I watched the last film, I was like, this is a brilliant film. This is a great film. This is a film I want to keep watching. This is something I love because it has the perfect balance of characters, plot line, and brutality. And I mean, that's really hard to do for a horror film to kind of elevate itself into that standard. And this does. So there's something there. There's something in this franchise, and in the next few years, I'm really gonna dive in. So thank you for suggesting it because I never would have watched it.
Yeah, no, super stoked we got to do this. And it really is wild that the 10th film in a franchise is kind of like the best. And maybe
Yeah,
it's
it's
because, again,
crazy.
they did like a fresh take and it's like 2023 versus 2004. But yeah, like that does, like, usually by the third film, things fall apart, right? They go off the rails. But the fact that the 10th one is like, in my opinion, the best one is crazy to me. So yeah, happy we watched this. Bummed that we won't have another Saw for a little bit, but who knows? You know, money talks, and I'm sure they will make another one at some point. Not sure what we're doing next episode. I think we're waiting to see what's going to come out so we can talk about something hot and fresh. If not, we will just kind of drink and bullshit. But we'll promise it'll be entertaining. So you could follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast. Email us your love and hate at horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. Again, you could also find this on YouTube, where you could watch me miserable as I try to drink this Mexican whiskey. And I promise you, the faces I've made throughout are not acting; they are all real, and I'm really suffering. And I feel like I'm in a jigsaw trap right now. And in
Oh
order
my
to,
lord.
it's like, to survive, I need to finish this glass of whiskey, and I don't think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm just gonna let the trap kill me, and that's that.
You have 10 seconds to finish that drink. So cheers.
Cheers! I will survive. I will finish it. Oh, 3D. Cheers.
3, cheers.
All right. Good night, everyone. Mm. Ah.
Oh.